Straight Talk with Brother Abu Jamal. Topic of discussion: what do we have to look forward to when it comes to trials and tribulations, when it comes to being in the midst of a pandemic? What do we have to look forward to? What's your take, brother?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, I think that the first and foremost thing that we can look forward to, God willing, is getting up in the morning. That's the first most important thing. If you get up in the morning, as my father said, you got a chance. Um, Even in the midst of the pandemic, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot to look forward to. I mean, you can look forward to seeing your loved ones. You look forward to seeing your grandkids. You look forward to coming home and eating in the evening. If you happen to be of the Islamic faith, you're looking forward to a successful day of fasting. So forth and so on. If you're a religious person, you're looking forward to doing another day of how can I put it? Doing another good gesture to humanity. So it's a lot to look forward to. In the midst of the negativity, the pandemic, the murders, the killings, the treachery, the back talking. I mean, there's a lot to look forward to.
You use the word lot, right? Now, you says, what does lot mean? Could it mean have one found out his or her lot in life? Like someone leaves you a lot or a piece of property, or you are in a parking lot, you know. So how can one find his or her lot in life?
Well, everybody has a lot in life, no matter how you cut it, because it's a human condition and it's part of the human experience. The point is, are you conscious of your lot in life? I mean, I could be taught on the negative side of, and your lot in life is to be a wino. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, you've been doing that your whole life. So that's your lot in life. I mean, conversely, you have an individual that's been business minded his whole life, been an entrepreneur his whole life, since knee high to a grasshopper. That's his lot in life, to be a business individual. So the lots are there. It just reminds me of a truth. I do a truth. I have a truth and perception page on my Facebook, and one of the ones that I did was um, everybody has a history, everybody has a story, everybody has a past, everybody has a present, and prayerfully everybody have a future. So all that in a roundabout way is still talking about your lot in life. Now, what you do with that, consciously or unconsciously, that's between you and your creator.
Now, remember, well, we say, like, I've heard that trial and error leads to personal discovery. Now, what does trial and error mean to you when you're trying to, like a mason that builds a house? How could that relate to life when it comes to trying to build up your morality, trying to build up your strength? You know what I'm saying? Trying to tap into that thing which you say when you become conscious of your lot in life.
Trials and tribulations. Once again, trial and tribulations are the part of the human experience. It's part of the human condition. Once again, it revolves around, you know, consciousness of trials and tribulations, and how do you effectively and positively deal with said situation. Because just as you breathe in air right rest assured that you're going to get a trial and or tribulation somewhere down the road. And if you don't get one this week, you just got out of one last week. And if you don't get one this week, you might get one next week. But it's part of the human condition and experience. And when we go through trials and tribulations, it's a learning experience, or it can be a learning experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, where do you find not only your find, and where do you get your inspiration from? And then what gives you guidance to help you overcome or minimize as much as you can, if that's the case, when it comes to trial and errors? And do you look forward to the trial and errors?
Well, I'm going to start from the back and go forward. Well, I'm going to start at the end and go back to the beginning, I should say. Do I look forward to trials and tribulations? No, I do not. However, I know they're coming. I don't know when they're coming, how they're coming, and what manifestation that they're coming, but they're coming. So the thing is to deal with it once again positively. And I like to say, after you pull whatever trial and or tribulation or hardship that you go through, etc., after you pull your tail from between your legs and you get back up on your feet, you look at what positive can I get out of this negative situation. For instance, let's say you are locked up. Okay, whether you did it or not, that's not the issue right here. But let's say you get locked up. Okay, after you pull your tail from between your legs, okay, I can get my GED if need be. I could possibly get my college education if need be, if they offer those services. They might have vocational training in this camp. So that's the point of, okay, turning a negative into a positive. You turn that negative and make it work for you. The awareness comes from having a bona fide teacher, a bona fide instructor, or whatever the case may be that you might want to call him or her, that has made the trip, that has made certain trials and tribulations, has gone through, has experienced certain trials and tribulations. Let's say he made the journey across the sands, across the burning sands, and now he has successfully made the journey across the burning sands. Now he has come back to instruct others on how to go across the burning sands. And with that instruction, he or she is able to tell you, well, don't go this way because there's a pitfall here. Don't go this way because X, Y, Z. Don't go this way because they have renegades here. You want to go this way because they have water here. You want to go this way because they have townships. So a lot of the trials and tribulations that we will go through ordinarily, we don't have to go through them because somebody has already made that trip and has returned, has successfully returned, that is, like a Harriet Tubman.
Yes, sir. Good stuff. Now, it is said of the prophet ascended through 7 levels of heaven. It says in this here, you know that our prophet ascended up through the 7 levels and then was taken by transport. The reason why I say that is a return, right? It said return. Because when you invest something, you want,
you want your return.
You want your return. You know what I'm saying? Now, I always say that we need to return back to our previous condition on which we were born with dignity and nobility. But let's go on. Taken by transport to the furthest mosque or masjid, and he returned. When he returned, he was prepared, ready to establish the ulama. Think about this now.
The community.
Yes. Once we get to a certain level, and we're still with our lot in life, and maybe that which we say what we have to look forward to. There are many people in the community, possibly who was in the community or not there no more, but yet they don't return back or give back to the community that's in need. It renders the community to be unstable. So it's a question of stability now.
And understanding.
Yeah, yeah. So who wants to do the work when it comes to accountability? Who wants to? Do people look forward to being accountable one with another? Is that something to look forward to?
For a conscious individual to be held accountable, to be looked at as accountable, to be in a position of accountability is what we want. Um, it's a shame because intellectually, individuals know the situation, they know the do's and don'ts, this, that, and the other. But because their understanding is lacking on another level, they pay no attention or they just gloss over it per se. Or they take it for granted. After all, I'm more afraid that this is their thought rationale. I'm more afraid of what the government's gonna do to me than what God's gonna do to me. You know, I mean,
That's serious. That's serious because if you give them more power than the one who you created you, that's a problem, isn't it?
yes, sir, it is absolutely.
Because we say that charity, then that's now you're separating yourself down. That's separation. It says that charity begins at home, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
but which means that when the child is born, coming out of the mama's womb, the mother is protecting the child. So my point of this here is that we are a government within ourselves. Now, if we are in government within ourselves, so what is needed is that we must learn to get the proper guidance. Where do you find your guidance from? And where do you get your guidance from? Because people are looking for something and looking for a model or example in that which they can't find in themselves.
Right. Well, it's no beating about the bush that from my discipline and understanding and realizations that a person has to be on a spiritual path, some type of spiritual discipline, religious discipline. Um, that's invariable. If you're not on that type of discipline, you're not going to get the nutrients that you need to make you a wholesome individual. Everything starts with self, sir. Everything starts with self. If if a person's not whole internally, he's not going to be whole externally. Or let me put it another way. If your physical existence is in disarray, then nine times out of ten, your internal discipline and life is going to be in disarray. And we're not talking about physical in terms of food, clothes, and shelter. Because we do know that we have ascetics out there and mystics and so forth and these type of individuals. But you can just tell that there's a disconnect from oneself. If there's a disconnect from oneself, then there's a disconnect from the reality.
Yes.
What was the second part of that statement?
I can't remember what I asked you though, but let's proceed on though. You said something about the nutrients. Now, if you take something out from its natural habitat and natural form or natural environment and plant it somewhere else, is that saying that plant, if a plant has lost its nutrients?
From the way that I'm hearing the question and the way that I perceive.
Because environment is important.
Yes, it is. Environment is definitely important. I mean, it all depends on whether, okay, you take that whatever it is, that plant or whatever it is, you take it from one location where it's doing what it's supposed to do. But who's to say initially taking it to another location is going to have the same nutritional value or nutrient value, whether it's going to be decreased or whether it's going to be increased.
Yes. Because you said something in your book, or you shared something before, the difference between nurture and nature. And this comes into play with this here.
You can't have one without the other, sir.
Oh.
I mean, you can have, I mean, it could be nature, or it could be nurture, it could be nurture, it could be nature. But you can't have one without the other.
So, you know, some people have challenges with some religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they may mean they come in with good intentions, you know, mean well. So some want to discard it all. Can you throw the baby out with the bathwater?
Well, once again, it revolves around understanding. And it's confirmation for me because I had this same discussion last night in one of my teaching briefings that I do every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And last night, we were actually talking about mathematics. And I said, well, I've always had problems with mathematics through high school, so forth, and college, so forth, and so on. But I know enough mathematics to know that you reduce, or everything can be reduced to its commonmost denominator. When you reduce it down to a point where it can go no further, you arrive at the genesis of the situation. So, when you reduce any religion down to its commonmost denominator, you find that the genesis is the same. So I might study 1, 2, or 3 religions, but after that, to a conscious man, or a man striving to be conscious, you know, the question is, well, hey, religion A is like this when you reduce it. Religion B is like this. Religion C. So why do I have to go all the way from D to religion Z to find out what they're about? Because it's obvious that if that religion is bona fide and has come from a place of reality, then it's got to be real. So I don't have to go and search and research hundreds of different religions or spiritual doctrines when I can just do a few and realize when you reduce everything to its commonmost denominator that you come up with the genesis, and that creates a type of understanding that to a person of understanding, like, oh well, that don't mean nothing. Or you do something, but because you know the root and the genesis, you know the outcome. It's like the root of the tree. You got the root of the tree that spreads far and wide. You got the branches. Each branch is different in some type, form, or fashion. But we all know that this whole tree, all the branches, all the leaves and everything comes from one root.
Yes. Yes. So the tree from the root, the stronger, the further the roots are in the tree, in the ground,
yes,
the stronger it is. So we realize the common denominator is one. Now, the best body of knowledge is creation itself, because it's one. You know what I'm saying? So it says that oneness is stronger than conflict, and unity is stronger than diversity. So one thing I realized that religions can agree on is treat people how you want to be treated. Now, the challenge is, as Elijah Muhammad says, if a person don't teach you right, they won't treat you right. So it's in the teaching. In this environment in which we live in is a teaching or a learning environment. So what can we learn as being a product of the environment without making an excuse for the decisions that we make?
Well, in something like that, you either had to make broad generalizations or you had to be specific. Because Who am I to say what Mary may learn or could learn or hasn't learned compared to what John has learned, could learn, or didn't learn? That's purely subjective. It's purely personal. It's based on a person's their perspectives, their perceptions, their conceptions, their thought process. So I can't say that because so and so jaywalk that he shouldn't do that. He may know, he may not know, or he might not just care. So I mean, it all depends on the individual. Because certain things you just can't. They're too broad. They're too broad to give a concrete answer unless you know the audience and the people that you're actually discussing.
Yeah, now you're getting into culture as well as standards and customs. Now, and within a particular jurisdiction or locale. Now, I realize this too on the way to closing is that when we talk about what do we have to look for as the we is the collective, but the individual is the sum total of the whole.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get to a point whereas that we start to accept ourselves?
When do you get to a point that you begin to accept yourselves? Once again, from my perspective, I can neither quantify nor qualify that. Who am I to say that you should be at this point? I mean, I might be at this point, but who's to say that you should be at this point? Even if you and I come up in the same discipline, under the same instructor, teacher, imam, or whomever, who's to say that because you're on this level that I need to be on this level with you, or that I'm up here and you need to be up there? Once again, we're all distinctly different, by the creator's grace and mercy. I mean, there are no two individuals are the same, not even identical twins.
Yes.
I mean, and to sum it up, some questions and statements are like this: the questioner knows no better than the answerer.
Yes. That's a good one. That's right. That's right. Because I remember Dr. King said this. He did a message called "The Three Dimensions of a Complete Life." He says one of the first things he had to realize when one guy, because we're dealing with math, he was dealing with math.
Mm-hmm.
How do we calculate the unknown by first calculating that which is known, mathematics, right? So he realized that this particular brother can solve problems, this math, faster than him. Because we're dealing with social comparisons now. You know what I'm saying? That's but Dr. King says he had to realize he had to accept his tools. And the first thing he had to deal with when it comes to three dimensions of a complete life, he had to deal with the principle of self-acceptance. He had to realize that this brother, where he was, and he can do it faster than him, that's him. But one thing I realized about a bud or a flower, whatever it is, a star is still a star, a flower is still a flower. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, some may shine brighter than others, and some flowers, some buds may blossom faster than others, but it's still the same.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the flowers specifically, because I like to tell people, when we're discussing, certain matters, is that the only reason that we have artificial plants and flowers around is because we know the real flowers are here or they have passed by this way. Because you can't have a real flower without an artificial flower. Because the only thing that stands on its own is God. So, and then we use that analogy to say that we know that there's a spiritual environment, encampment, organization, set cells somewhere. You might not be aware of it, but they are there. And we know they're there because we can always look at the organization and say, well, they ain't. They supposed to be. Why ain't they? Okay, if you got those concepts in your head, then that precludes that there has to be a group of organizations out there that do like you say you want to do. They are together. They are teaching because you can't have one without the other. But as it's been part of the human condition, as part of my actual visualization of their experience, is that internalization of reality is for those people of the past. We don't see that as happening in our lives. I mean, even if we hail Thurgood Marshall as being a perfect judge or whatever, as an example, the majority of the people don't see themselves as being a judge. That was for him. That was for them. We can't do that. And so we automatically set blocks against our own selves unwittingly to progress our advancement. But what we're doing is that we're retarding our advancement because of the mind concept and because we don't have proper information.
Yes, that's good because someone says great things I have done, greater things you should do. If people who were before tested don't think that you're not going to be tested too. You know what I'm saying? So we really have to continue to open our minds and realize, and once we get the proper information that is needed, and once we get the proper information, then therefore it begins the transformation.
Yes, sir.
So well, yeah, that's good stuff. So straight talk with brother Abu Jamal. You have any additional closing words and closing remarks?
Closing remarks. The only thing I can say about what do we have to look forward to in respect to trials and tribulations, or what do we have to look forward to even positively, is that, like I said, if you get up in the morning relatively pain free, your mind is still in the same, you still have a sound mind disposition, then you have a chance to work on yourself. You have a chance to reconnect with yourself. You have a chance to reconnect with your family. You have a chance to reconnect with the community. You have a chance to reconnect with the deity of your understanding. Um, Never give up trying. Sometimes it's a daunting task. It will be frustrating at times. You might want to say, I just forget it, but do not give up. Do not give up. Do not give up. Stay the course. You're going to have your trials and your tribulations. Stay the course. Learn how to turn your trials and tribulations from negatives into positives. Stay the course. If it was made easy for us, then what would be the benefit? That glorious book that you quoted a Quranic verse out of says, "We deck this world out fair to test those as to whom's best in conduct." And with that, I'm finished, my brother. If it's time to be finished, I'm finished.
Brother Abu Jamal, straight talk. What do we have to look forward to? The problem is not the problem. It's the attitude that you have about the problem. It's in the attitude. So develop the correct and proper attitude. Until next time. talk to you.
Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna avail myself for your bathroom, brother, if you don't mind. I'll be right back.